everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of Vitamins presented by St. Luke's. I'm Fabian Krislovic, and as always, I'm joined by Adam Webster. Webby, how are we?
I'm very well, Fab. Christmas is almost here.
Yes, I know. You got the music pumping in the car. Basically, as soon as December ticks over, my playlist changes. So I've been loving that for the last little bit.
The only problem is I've got 2 little kids, so they keep requesting the same Christmas carols over and over and over again.
I'm basically the same. I don't know. my selection isn't very vast. I sing along hard to about 5, 6, and then I go back through it.
There's a lot of Run Rudolph Run in my car right now.
Ah, that's a lot of fun. A
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of fun.
Yeah.
We're in a treat for today for what's our last episode of this first season of Vitamins, and Webby, I'll allow you to do the honours.
Oh, geez, I've got the introduction again. And I think last time I had to read because it was so long, and it's even longer now, I think, today. This man needs no introduction, even though he's one of the longer introductions that we've had on the Vitamins podcast presented by St. Luke's. He grew up in Ohio, the great state of Ohio. He played 160 NBA games across Utah, San Antonio, and Minnesota. He transitioned to coaching in the NBA and across national teams, arrived in the NBL as an assistant with the Perth Wildcats, and secured the role as head coach of the NBL's newest expansion franchise in 2020. He was the coach of the year in 2022, the championship winning coach in 2024. He has a focus on building culture, recruiting character, over raw talent, and getting the best out of his players. It's laid the foundation for the Jack Jumpers' success. He's a coach, a mentor, a husband, a father, an admired leader, the biggest rev up we've ever given on the history of Vitamins. Scott Roth, welcome to the show.
I don't even know where to start with all that.
Incredible. Wow, I'd love to have something like that read about me.
Oh, no, yeah. That's what we can all aspire to.
That's it. But no, thanks for coming, Scott. How's everything going?
Good. Obviously, I just saw you a few hours ago, so
a lot of fun.
Can't get away from you. But everything's good. We're moving right along, and Christmas is around the corner now. You remind me again.
How was practice, guys?
It's been good. We've had a really good, probably last month, and then leading up into this FIBA break, we were back at it, and I didn't give these guys much time off, but it's kind of our work ethic that we've done here for year in and year out, and our guys continue just to show up and gradually get better in a lot of different areas individually and as a team, and we're tracking rather well in practice.
Brilliant. Now, we've got Christmas coming up. We've got families coming into the market. We've talked about the kids at practice and that sort of stuff. Obviously, there's more and more family members coming into practice this time of year. Is there a bit of a buzz around the place, Fab?
Yeah, I think everyone's getting excited. I think we've seen the jersey launch recently, and
yes.
I'm pumped again to wear that.
Ugly
Christmas
sweater.
jersey 2 years in a row. I think has been, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, as you said, always a bit of excitement this time of the year. It's really fun. Families and kids getting into school holidays. Basketball. I think for a good month or so, it just becomes week throughout the week. Basically every day we got games. So it's a lot of fun to be a part of. And then as you said, Christmas, families. It's just a great time of the year.
Speaking of that jersey, Scott, are you an ugly Christmas sweater wearer? Were you that way growing up? Obviously, you grew up in a place where it snows, so.
No, I'm not going down that route.
Okay.
But I appreciate the last 2 years and the jerseys of what we've done with that, and I think it's actually been a really good rollout for us. And we've had multiple really nice jerseys, I think, over the course of the last few years that we've been able to wear. And it is one of those rare things that we do get to celebrate Christmas and play a game, and to have that jersey as part of the foundation of this franchise and having it for 2 years now in a row is pretty exciting.
What do you think of the Christmas tradition in the NBL? Obviously, it's been a part of the NBA for very, very many years. It grows the league. Nothing else is on TV on Christmas night, so they've got a free night.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been with mixed emotions, I think, probably throughout Australia about sports on those kind of days. And for us in the States and being in the NBA, you're just used to playing these games. And we just had Thanksgiving in the U.S., and that's a football day. So, we're celebrating football and watching games as we go through the afternoon. And obviously basketball now has turned into a huge thing in the NBA. And I think there's 4 or 5 games in a row that you can watch on Christmas Day. And I think it's just part of what I've known for so many years, and I think people here are probably getting slightly used to it, and hopefully people here in Tasmania have wrapped their arms around the idea of us playing late in the afternoon while they're celebrating their mornings and having some meals and sit by the TV and watch the Jack Jumpers.
Fab, this is our last episode of season 1. So do you want to give the listeners and viewers an explanation? Why do we call this show Vitamins?
Yes, we've called Vitamins presented by St. Luke's. And to us, that's just the things we do every day to get better. With the Jackies, it's been basically in there since day one, whether it's video sessions, little individual work, or just a bit of treatment with the physios or strength work with H. So it's just a little dose of, what we do every day to get a little bit better. And Scott, I just want to ask you why, I guess, as I said, it's been here since day one. Why do you kind of bring that in and, have that part of our daily practice?
Yeah, I think it just drives our culture. And more importantly, it allows us to invest in players, and it allows us to grow them as individuals on and off the floor. But more importantly, ultimately we're trying to get better across the board, and that is in a lot of different ways. The individual vitamins that we do every morning is really to obviously help the players grow during the course of the season, but it's also to obviously help our team continue to work on some things that we can get done early in session. So it's a kind of a two-edged sword in one way, but the biggest thing I think that my takeaway is that it's improved our players from the beginning of the season to the end, and that our players are slowly making improvements as they go, and they understand what that means to them and what it means to our team. And it also is allowing them to be better and make more money and get better jobs and improve their individual skills, along with hopefully along the way improving the jack jumpers as the season progresses.
Now, you run some vitamins, obviously, across the team. When we spoke to Jack McVeigh, he likened this to going to the principal's office. So I want to talk to you about your favorite vitamins, and particularly when you run vitamins with Fab. Like, what does that look like? What's Fab like as a student? He's been here since the beginning, so you got to be pleased with him, right?
Well, listen, early on I did more of the vitamins. I don't do them at all really anymore.
Okay.
For me, it's probably not over-coaching and not being around them too much because they see me every single day, and saying less sometimes is more. And I like to observe what's going on. We have communication with the coaches about what we're doing, but I haven't really been doing very many vitamins over the last 2 or 3 years, and there might be a case here or there where we're short a coach or something. But for me, again, it's just more about player development and helping them along the way, and I try to stay out of the way of some of that stuff and other than just looking over it. But early on when I was doing it, I don't know if it's going to the principal's office, but I like to test out players and see where they're at and just see, what type of skill level they have. And the things that I do are going to be different than Mark Radford or Fleming or Jared Weeks. And so for me, it's just more about giving them a little bit different dose in a test. But I'd rather not use my voice in that time period and save it for practice and or games.
Imagine a place built to make everyone healthier. Visit a St. Luke's Wellness Hub to learn, explore, and be inspired. Just another way St. Luke's is helping to make Tasmania the healthiest island on the planet. Now let's get into the starting five. Scott, just ask a few questions to learn a little bit more about you as a person. So starting off, I guess, we talked about your upbringing, growing up in the States, and I in particular. What were some of the favorite memories, I guess, of your childhood and growing up?
Well, I think for me, growing up, I played all the sports in the U.S. growing up, in American baseball, American football, and basketball. And my dad played briefly professional baseball for the Phillies. Yeah. And so I just grew up playing all the sports and kind of gravitating eventually as I got older to basketball. But for me, it was a little bit of a tough environment. My dad was quite tough on me across the board of just pushing me to be better. My childhood was probably pretty normal in one sense, and then as I got a little bit older, some tragedy started to creep in, and I've shared that obviously with the team and the group over what's transpired over that time. But early on for me, it was just playing sports, hanging out, doing what kids do, and run around causing problems and not being very good in school, and doing all those type of things.
I love it. Well, I didn't know. What positions were you in baseball, football?
Yeah, so in football, I played quarterback, and I played, as I got taller and bigger, I played tight end.
Yep.
And then in baseball, I was a pitcher and first base. And my dad was a pitcher. Yeah.
5-tool player.
That's it.
Yep.
Does whatever you need.
Yep.
And obviously, you've had so much success as a coach, but you also had very successful career as a player yourself. And when, I guess, did that click for you when you're like, this is what I want to do? I want to be a professional athlete. I want to play basketball full time.
Well, I think, it's changed over the course of years of where social media and everything is nowadays. I think every kid thinks they're a professional player now because they get access to everything, and they're pumped up to believe that they're just going to be in the NBA or be playing NFL football. When I was growing up, your dream was to do that, but the reality of that was going to be quite difficult to do. And you weren't kind of fed into that system of you're going to be great and you're just going to go on and do your thing and you're going to be in the NBA. And for me, it was just more of a grind in the work ethic, and it was just step by step. And the first one was to be as good as I could be in high school, and I ended up being one of the top players in the United States at that point. I was the number one player in the state of Ohio. And then I got over 300 scholarship offers to go anywhere in the country to go play. And then I went to the University of Wisconsin and got drafted out of there. And once I got drafted out of there, I went to San Antonio for my camp, and I got cut in 3 days. Mm-hmm. And the reality of, maybe I'm not a professional at the NBA level. But my goal was just to be as good as I could possibly be, and that led me into Europe right away. And in 2 years in Europe, my basketball kind of just took off and skyrocketed in an unbelievable environment. And then I came back and made the NBA.
Is that European environment, that's clearly had a massive impact on how you see basketball, how your basketballing philosophy? What was so different that you needed at that point in your career that Europe offered you?
Yeah, well, I think for me nowadays, even I'd rather watch a European game than an NBA game. I just gravitate towards a pure style of basketball. But for me, when I got over to Europe, I had come from the Big Ten, and the Big Ten at that time was one of the best conferences in the nation. It was either that or the ACC you went to, if you were any good. And in the Big Ten, it was a much more of a slugfest, slow-down game, 70-point games, and it was just physical and kind of slow. The ACC at that time was a little bit faster with Michael Jordan over there and Ralph Sampson and some other players, obviously, that are well known. And when I got to Europe, the whole style of training, the whole way of practicing, in the States at that time, you just went to school during the day and then you had 2 hours of basketball, and that was really it in college. And when I got to Europe, it was 24/7. You wake up in the morning and you shoot 500 shots, you go to the gym, in the afternoon you lift weights, and you come back in the evening and you practice again. And you're kind of on that treadmill, and my conditioning and my pace of play and the style of play, and being coached by, a wonderful Turkish coach, all this exposure, playing against Dražan Petrovic when he was younger and seeing a different style of basketball, my basketball career just kind of took off in those 2 years of being in that environment.
Spoke about going to Europe. Obviously, you've lived in Australia from the States. Yep. Where are some of the favorite places you've been living in, and how did you end up here?
Yeah, I've lived a lot of different places in Europe, and my stops were in Spain. I lived in 2 different places in Spain, in the north of Spain, up by San Sebastian and Victoria, where Baskonia is right now. I also was in the south of Spain in Valencia area. I played for Panathinaikos in Greece, so I had a wonderful time living in Greece. And I've bounced around in between everywhere else and either coached or traveled within all those areas. I've been fortunate enough that my wife has been quite resilient in just picking up and moving and getting it around. And so I've been a little bit of everywhere. I've lived a little bit everywhere. How I got here was a long story and a long process, but obviously I went through the interview process of this expansion team, which basically everyone said, don't ever take this team because you're never going to win down here and you're not going to be here for very long, and just wait a little bit longer. And my eyes were set of leaving the NBA when I was with Thibodeau in Minnesota. I was ready to move on and just try to do something different, and I was kind of over the NBA game and just the politics of it. And I was lucky enough to meet Trevor Gleason by accident when I was coaching the Chinese national team for the World Championships with Yao Ming, who hired me out of Minnesota. And the select team came over with Trevor Gleason coaching it, and this guy named Clint Steinel running around out there. I didn't know much about it, but, we played 3 games in 8 days, and the rest is kind of history. I never saw them again. We continued on with our pathway for about 3 months to train for the World Championships. And when I got home, when that was over with, I got a call, and this +61 number came up. And I was actually going to take a few weeks off or a month or 2 off and just not do basketball. But I was looking in Japan and here to see if I could start another part of my career. And it was Trevor Gleason. He said, listen, one of my coaches has had some personal issues and needs not to be with us anymore. And we've already played 6 or 7 games. Can you get over here as fast as you can? And he said, I don't know you and you don't know me, but I know a lot about you. And I turned to my wife, Lori, and I said, what do you think? And 3 days later, I was on a plane and flew into Perth, and we won a championship that year. And that's when this team became a reality of it was going to be the next expansion team.
Who have been, I guess you've talked about some people in your life that have made an impact and kind of helped you shape who you are today. Who have been some of those most influential people that you've had in your life and in your career?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I've had so many different types of sporting figures, most of the, obviously, basketball, so many different coaches from Popovich to Don Nelson to European coaches that some of them have passed away at this point. You get influenced by, a Steve Nash or Pau Gasol or Dirk Nowitzki or these guys that you end up coaching and being around, and Steph Curry and Valanciunas, and just the list goes on, and they inspire you. But ultimately for me, it's probably my dad. My dad was quite strict with me, very tough-minded and very simple in his ways, but right was right and wrong was wrong, and you did things a certain way. And that groundwork that he set with me very young was one that I hated. But as I've gotten older, and especially now where I am now, it is what I think about constantly about the lessons that I've learned when I was younger.
And then finally, I guess we've spoken a bit about this, I guess, behind the scenes with our team, but what is your why?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple for me. I think as you get older and where you are in your career, and as you're moving through in your 20s, it's probably a little different, and then you get to your 40s and it's different again. And now I've just turned 61. Once you get a family and once you have other responsibilities besides yourself, it becomes really much about, taking care of my wife and my daughter. And so everything that I end up doing is to represent them the best possible way I possibly can, but also honor my family, my mom and my dad, and the last name Roth, and how I try to carry myself and try to be the best person I can. I don't succeed at that all the time, but it is in the forefront of why I do what I do, and ultimately to be a great provider for my family and just be there.
Your love for your family obviously shines through, and it's part of the topic of our episode today: motivation, leadership, the importance of investing in others, are all things that are going to help Tasmania to become the healthiest island on the planet, which is what St. Luke's are trying to do. And I imagine that purpose would resonate with you quite dramatically, given your reverence for this island and given what you've built over the last few years. And it's a really tidy partnership between St. Luke's and the Jack Jumpers in terms of what they're both trying to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hugely, obviously, invested in Tasmania. This place has changed my life. Never in my wildest dreams would I thought I would have came here 5 years ago or 4 years ago, and things have transpired the way they have. But what the people of Tasmania have done for myself and my family has been incredible. And, my big thing is about investing in others. I think over the course of time, you find out what kind of leader you are, and I think there's transactional leaders. I think that's probably a case for a lot of younger coaches for sure that are scoreboard watching, trying to get to the next job. There's not a lot of culture being built. They're just trying to win games, and that's kind of how they validate themselves. And for me, I think I'm more of a transformative kind of leader where my thing is really not about the scoreboard. It is about investing in our players, making sure they're getting better, building culture, understanding the value of a good day's work, and setting the tone for what I think people of Tasmania are really about. And that reflection is really quite simple for me because it was really how I was raised.
Bob, how different was it from previous experiences that you had in your basketball career to come to Tasmania and start to work with Scott?
No, it was incredible, and I've had some awesome coaches, I guess, in my past, and in college and high school and my previous experiences. And the biggest thing about it is we were building from the ground up. That's something I guess I've never really had to do. So doing that was just amazing. But I think Scott said it. We're just worried about focusing about how did we do, what's our process like. Not too, obviously we care about the scoreboard, but, we've had games where we've lost, we've come in and we watch film and it's pretty positive. We did a lot of good things. And then on the other side of that, we've had games where we've won and people are feeling good, but then we have film and it's like, we're not there. We know we've missed some things. How do we get better? And we need to sharpen this up. So it's all, it's that part of it, I guess, has been pretty consistent throughout, I guess, since the beginning. We're always focused on how do we get better as a group, not worried about the scoreboard or anything like that, just what can we do to get better. So being a part of that and seeing, I guess, Scott, instill that in this club has been, the more I'm exposed and the more I'm around it, the more, I guess, like it and I think it's, the right way of doing things. So it's been really cool to I guess, see that and see him live that and instill that in this group.
Scott, Farb's asked every single guest we've had on this show, what is your why? Why is it important to have a why? Why is it important to define what your why is and have that motivation?
Yeah, we've done quite a few different things over the course of the 4 years, and I believe in our second year we did the whys for our entire group. I think what we're trying to create is some vulnerability, some insight to guys of what's driving them. And I think once you figure out what this person is sitting to the left or the right of you during the course of practice or a game or in the locker room, and what has motivated them and what's their background and what things have they struggled with or what they've exposed to the group that's internal to us, it's really hard not to go out there and fight like hell for them. And that vulnerability of opening up and finding out some other stories about some guys and what they're going through, and everyone has a story, and sometimes it's just not willing to share it. But we try to create an environment where we are vulnerable to each other and that we're able to talk in a way that maybe is uncommon. I cry all the time, probably tell you. I tell these guys I love you. Those are uncommon things for men to talk about in a locker room after we've won or lost. But ultimately it is about sharing what the experiences of who they are as people. And so knowing their whys in that second year, but knowing, the guys that have stuck around of what really is motivating them and their families or what they've gone through, it just gives you a deep, deep appreciation that when you go on the floor, you really are trying to do the best for them. And that's, again, investing in someone else and understanding, why they're doing what they're doing.
Vulnerability is so important across your team. I've said it before on the show. It shines through. You and your teammates appreciate each other, show gratitude for each other, and it obviously starts with what Scott's been able to install in this team. How important has it been for you and the team to sort of learn that vulnerability?
No, it's been, I think, one of the biggest reasons why I guess the club's had the consistency and the success that we've had. I just think, as Scott said, it just allows you to fight harder for each other. And at the end of the day, like basketball, it's a game we care about deeply, but it's a game, and we're just trying to, we come in every day, work hard, and, have all these values and things that we're trying to get better as a group of people, and day by day plugging away at this goal as a team. It's a long season, and so just being vulnerable with each other and knowing, as Scott said, seeing a bit more beneath the surface allows us to maybe when someone's having an off day, help bring him along or just fight harder for that person next to you. And I think it's been massive. And as I said, we're just trying to grow as people. Basketball, obviously we're trying to win as many games as we can. Don't get that wrong. It's kind of not a byproduct, but it's not the main thing that we're doing in terms of our focus every day. We're just trying to work hard and grow and enjoy it as much as possible.
I'm not going to talk about the championship because we've stopped talking about the championship, but I am going to talk about motivation and a comment that you made that said winning a championship wouldn't change your life and it wasn't your sort of primary motivator.
Yeah.
For those listening and watching that might be sort of striving for their own personal goals, how important is it to not use something like a championship as a motivator for you that you've found in your career?
Well, listen, I haven't been in these positions by accident over the course of my time coaching or playing. I'm extremely competitive. I want to win every game. But at the end of the day, as you get older, you end up, your values and your things start to change. Your life starts to change in different ways. And for me, I'm very motivated to try to obviously win games here in Tasmania and bring this championship back. But ultimately, it is not going to change my life, but it will impact Fab and our younger players that get their first championships, that have put in all this hard work, that have pounded the rock for X amount of years to actually end at the end of the day, smash the rock last year. Those are highlight moments for me. And I get motivated in the morning by not thinking about winning or losing this game when I wake up Thursday to go play Cairns. I get motivated to make sure that we're on point, that my coaches are supported, that the players are ready to go. And then you see this little increments of success of, 3 guys going to the Olympics or Fab winning his first championship. All those things to me are what really actually motivates me. I don't want to make it seem like I don't care, but the scoreboard's not what I'm focusing on. Again, a younger coach or someone else that's all he might think about. For me, again, it is just my motivation comes daily of trying to get people better, trying to lead them better, trying to be just a better person across the board and reflecting that in how we go about our business.
And to piggyback off that, saying that new final series, obviously, got headlines, whatever, but what's our motivation today when I'm waking up and going to training, trying to be the best? You know, it's a long season, and what I've found is if we just goal orientated and you have these things, you achieve it, and it's like, okay, then what? Why am I going to keep pushing? So I guess we've kind of found other things that I guess more just, you know, goals that aren't, you know, ever realistically going to be achieved. You know, trying to you know, just become better in whatever aspect of the game, whether it's shooting the basketball, you can always improve there, ball handling, defense, you know, these things on the more process-orientated goals as opposed to outcome-driven things, because, you know, you achieve it and it's an awesome feeling. Like when we won, that was an awesome day. And then it's like, okay, what am I going to do now? How am I going to get better now? And if you have just outcome, that's not very sustainable. And I think we found a way to consistently grow and sustain that by not being so outcome driven. Obviously, the outcomes are important. We're trying to win, as Scott said, every game, trying to win a championship every season. But if that's all you have to look for, you're going to burn out, and you don't achieve it. It's just going to set you back too much. So having these other things that motivate you and just everyday little goals that can always strive towards, I think that's what we found is sustainable. And as a player and as a person, how you grow.
Scott, I think I've been trying to act as the fan as part of this show and kind of translate it to the everyday person that's watching and listening. How does your motivational technique, how does your philosophy, your why translate to people in broader society that, you know, show up to work every day, go to the office, sit down, do their work, go home? How can what you're talking about help motivate Tasmanians?
Oh boy, that's a tough question.
I don't ask easy ones, Scott.
Yeah, no. I think, you know, initially when I got here was Defend the Island, and the Defend the Island was a thing about our defense, and that's kind of how it morphed into. And over the last 2.5 years, it has nothing to do anymore about our defense. It is about representing the state and representing the people and showing how great this place is, and it's worth defending for everyone in the state. By us showing up every single day and our fight and our guys out in the clinics and our guys doing all the extra work to connect the state from top to bottom, and our Bloodlines group, all these little things add up to hopefully showing a pathway for younger kids and youth, for businesses to rally around the Defend the Island kind of motto now of what I think it's turned into. You know, ultimately, we were just trying to stack days and be as best we can. And I think by doing it visually is much better than me speaking about it every single day, other than saying, yes, we're here to defend the island, but our guys actually showing up and doing the work and being out in the community, being out in the public, hopefully is motivational enough to grow basketball, which has transpired in the last 3.5 years, which has motivated businesses, I think, to jump on board with the Jack Jumpers and understand that we're representing them also. And so across the board for the state, it's more about us just keeping our head down, staying humble, staying hungry, and doing it by deeds, not by word of mouth, ultimately. And I hope that's motivating enough for most Tasmanians.
It was my high school motto: by deeds, not words. There you go. Just busted it out.
There you go.
Fab, you've been here 3 years, and investing in others is a topic that we've spoken about a lot today. How have you seen investing in Tasmania and the love that obviously Tasmania throws back at you at home games, family days, etc.? But how have you seen that sort of evolve and change the state over the last few years?
It's been fascinating to see. When we first got here, doing camps, clinics, out and about. The first, I guess, we were here when we didn't play for about 4 or 5 months. And so no one really knew who we were too much. You know, people, you know, a little bit of excitement. Schools, kids were just, you know, I think they were just happy to be out of class, you know, spend an hour doing some basketball drills, things like that. You know, all the time we spent in the community and trying to get around different people, whether it's fans, children at school. It's see that growth, see that excitement, see, as Scott said, that thing that Tasmanians can rally behind. It's been really special, and whenever games are on, it's just incredible. I don't remember the last time we haven't had a sold-out game at My State Bank Arena, and it's just always so much fun, and it's just an awesome place to be and to play, and I'm sure it's an awesome place to be as a fan, just to have that community and rally around that and be around people who are all, I guess, supporting the same thing, and that's really been it's really been a special thing to be a part of. And yeah, just investing in others, I guess, from the whole Tasmanian community perspective. You know, every day when we're trying to, going back to what we're talking about before, grow and push ourselves, you know, at times it's challenging, and, you know, you look to the person to your left, look to the person to your right, and you know, if you're giving them energy, investing in them, you know, there's going to be people doing that to you, and just collectively pushing forward and trying to get better. So I think it's been really special on both the community in Tasmania in terms of, you know, as I said, going out, investing in them, and as well as looking to our teammates, looking to our coaching staff, looking to our training staff, and investing in each other to try become the best version of yourself.
Real quick with that too, I think the one thing that's been also very cool is, you know, early on when we would go up to the north, you know, or we started these clinics early on, all the kids would rock up with the Bulls outfit on, or the Lakers jersey on, or they'd have all this other stuff on. And now if we go north to start our training camp, or we go to Launceston to play games, it is just Jack Jumper green with every possible jersey that's been sold. Every kid wearing that. You don't see the Chicago Bulls logo anymore. You see the Jack Jumpers logo. And I think it becomes well apparent, and I remind these guys constantly of what the impact they've had across the state. And when the new players come in, I think it has them a little baffled that especially local players that have been here, and they hear about it, and now all of a sudden you get Ruben Terrani that comes in and he hears about all of it, and then he goes up to, you know, Bernie, or he goes up to Davenport. We're 5 hours away from Hobart, and you wouldn't know. You're in Jack Jumper green, and it starts to dawn on them like, wow, this entire state is really behind this team, as opposed to a portion of a city or a little speck of an area that you're playing in your market. Our market's quite big. Not a lot of people in the market overall, comparatively, but our market is very big. And to go into these remote areas and all of a sudden just start seeing Defend the Island in the windows or whatever is quite remarkable.
I've never seen schools have a day devoted to a team, let alone a professional basketball team, where everyone is wearing Jack Jumper green. Teachers, students, principals. It's remarkable. The entire day is built around your team and the love and adoration. And it's cool. I'm biased. It's the best atmosphere in Australia for any sporting event. It's not even close. And your love for that obviously comes out after game, particularly after wins. You like to rev up the crowd.
And every now and then I get a little excited.
Yeah. You must love that too.
It's awesome, man. And then I know when the adrenaline dies off and we're all chilling after the game or talking a couple of days later, we'll all send each other or talk about the highlights of it when Scott does his thing. You know, it's always special. We had a fun one the other day. Scott had a nice little image sent in the group chat, nice little reaction on the bench. But
I thought it Mag's block.
But,
it's foul.
But no, it's, as you said, it's awesome. And you go into schools and it's still a bit overwhelming when you walk in and it's just like you're treated like a celebrity. Like everyone's so excited. Kids are trying to, if their class isn't involved, they're trying to rush out, get a quick signature, things like that. And everyone's always, you come into a school that's like 1:30 on a Tuesday just after lunch and about to do an hour of clinics and, you know, they're just going nuts. Everyone's in kit, excited, so energetic, and just it's awesome to be a part of and to see that community and that's the same wherever we go, anywhere in the state. So that part of it, I guess, is really special.
There is no better segue into feeling fab as far as I'm aware, Fab.
So here we go, Scott, the feeling fab. This last little quick fire.
Oh boy,
it should be
last one of the season.
Yeah,
that better be good.
Okay, so here we go. What is your coffee order?
Well, it used to be I'm not a coffee guy until you come to Australia and you find out that you have to be on top of your game because it is really, really particular here. And so when you're a dumb American and you're just drinking Starbucks, you don't have any idea what's really going on. And you get here, and so I just went with the standard flat white for quite a while. But in the last probably 2 months, I've gone, Mark Rafford is kind of, every time I see him drinking, I think, I'll try that. And now that's all I'm doing is a skinny cap.
Okay.
Beautiful. First car.
That I personally bought or my parents'
First car that you've had?
First car that I ever had was an old, in high school, an old yellow Firebird.
Ooh,
nice.
And then my first car that I ever bought when I had some money was a Mercedes-Benz.
What are you reading, watching, or listening to at the moment?
I'm a huge reader, so right now there's a lot of books that come across my mind, but the one that I have right with me now is The Mountain in Front of You. It's about self-sabotage, basically, of your personality or what you're going through in life. And so I'm almost done with that book. Favorite
NBL away venue? And you can base this on your favorite crowd or your favorite cigar spot.
Well, all of them are favorite cigar spots. This is probably going to be a little bit, Fab will understand it, but this will probably be a little bit of a shock because I'm sure no one said it. Adelaide. And Adelaide for 2 reasons. One, we land in the airport and we don't have to leave it. So that's really simple. The morning getting back on the plane is super simple. And Fab will agree, the food at this hotel is incredible.
Really?
I mean, it is at some level that I can't believe. Like, everyone goes there, and we're just like, oh, my gosh. Like, they roll it out.
Yeah,
like, it is incredible.
Food, they got the best food in the league. I like that.
Yeah, Adelaide.
That's high praise.
Yeah, no,
wow.
it's good.
I was not expecting that.
Yep.
Incredible. Their meatballs are unbelievable. Early morning or late night?
Oh, I'm an early morning. Like this morning, I was up at 5:15, so I'm up and about and slowly getting ready to go. And usually leave the apartment by 6 to get to the office, and I'm up and about and doing my thing.
Favorite Jack Jumpers jersey or SRT coaches polo?
Well, this one, obviously, the black, to me, I was asking for 2 or 3 years to go with a black outfit. They'll have both, actually, that we could alternate. But this black is killer, I think. And
Slimming.
It's really, really good. And then the jersey, for me, is the old Tassie Devil one with the lines going across.
Oh, it's been a popular one.
I tell you,
half
if we,
the episode.
if we happen to, I don't know why, but I'd love it for us to play every year at least one game in that jersey, because it's sold out instantly. It is a huge hit across not only here but everywhere I go. When I went back to the States, people that follow us are like, that's the jersey everyone wants.
So you got some pull. I want the white version as well, Scott. So we'll see if we can get the white one.
It should be a no-brainer for us, but I don't. That's out of my
one day.
My realm.
One day.
Restaurant recommendations in Tassie or wherever?
Yeah, well, listen, I'm biased. I go to D'Angelo's all the time. Ange over there, who obviously runs the place, it's like walking into his house. He takes care of you every single time you go in there. There's a lot of wonderful places to go eat across the board, and I don't want to start naming things out and someone comes back after me. But Ange is easy because, we're there probably once a week, and I know the players go through there quite a bit. Yeah. Again, when you walk in here, it's like walking into his home. He takes care of you.
How do you spend an off day?
I don't have a lot of those. And in general, for me, it's just trying to relax, catch up on the series or whatever that myself and my wife are watching at some point or another. For me, a relaxing afternoon is just hanging out, maybe taking a drive or doing something very simple. I definitely would smoke a cigar if the weather's in the right spot and right time for that. But I'm pretty laid back and chilled and pretty easy going in that.
That's what you want. We've talked about this briefly before, but favorite phone app?
Yeah, that one is a little bit of stumps me a little bit because I'm not overly technology wonderful in a lot of areas, and I don't have a lot of apps other than what Apple puts on the phone. So the one that I just got done using is the one I use all the time, is the Easy Park. So I don't know if that counts, but it is the one that I use.
You're not sharing Instagram reels with Scott?
I gotta get him on there and send him all my memes. I usually go through, but as for the now, it's Easy Park. We'll send each other pictures of our receipts. And then last thing, ask this to everybody: what is one thing you do to stay healthy?
Well, I would say for me, especially when I get to go back home, I walk every day for about 2 or 3 hours a day. That's a combination of in the morning and the evening, and I'm out and about in where we live or riding a bike through there, which I think you've seen some of me ride a bike with a cigar in my mouth. I don't know if that's overly healthy, while smoking and riding, but I do that, walk the beach. Here, I probably would say I'm not overly healthy, which is shame on me kind of thing. But when I have a chance, like yesterday, I'll walk for a good hour if I can.
Get a walking club together, Scott.
Yeah.
I've got to do more of that.
You got to walk fast with me, though. I got long legs.
Okay.
You got to stay on it.
Yeah, I feel short.
Yeah,
you guys.
You might have
I'm very small.
You might have to get a skateboard.
Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Worries.
Really appreciate it. Vitamins presented by St. Luke's. We thank you all for listening and watching across this whole season, Farb. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Gone quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Stay tuned to the Jackie socials. Thank you so much for watching, listening, subscribing. Subscribe to the Jack Jumpers on YouTube as well. And have a great Christmas and New Year. We might see you in 2025.